Welcome everybody to our study session today. Superintendent Smith, I believe we have a presentation.
We do, from our CTE team, and Ryan Neal, Mikkel Boss, Jess Carter, we appreciate them. And you know, there's another guy to their right kind of sitting on the end. You know, he might be involved just a little bit too. Appreciate Doug Webb also being here as responsibility for CTE. And Ryan, I know you've got a prezi prepared, and so let's go.
Where do you guys want me at?
Right
over here.
Over there.
Stand over here. You're fine. Thank you, everyone, for letting me present today.
You do have a copy in your email.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Oh, we're all just
You're very, very
Me broadcast here. Your presentation, please. I apologize. Give me 1 second. Let me get set up here. Okay. So again, I'm Ryan Neal. I'm the CT director currently for Alpine School District. I have Jess and Mikkel here. They're my assistants. They're awesome. And it's been an eye-opener for me. I've come to a few of these study sessions and to see what other parts or just other programs and other departments in the district and what they actually oversee and what they do. It's been nice to see how we all fit together. But I recognize that CTE is just one cog of this giant wheel of ASD. So again, thank you for the opportunity to present today. So usually when people think of CTE, they might think of just, oh, foods or welding or ag, but we're much more than that. And I hope that as I take the time today to kind of talk about the complexities of CTE, but also some of the exciting things that we have with the pending split and some of the opportunities and some growth we have. And so please ask questions along the way. So here's the reason why we exist in CTE. Click on this one, fills up the whole screen. This is why we exist. That's our mission statement. We prepare students for post-secondary training and successful careers in enriching their lives. And that's, again, like we are the bridge to industry. And that's what separates us from other classes, like your core classes. We are truly the bridge to industry, and that's why we exist, and that's why we get funding from the state differently than other departments. And I'll jump into how that all works here a little bit later. So as we went through this, we said, okay, so what does CTE actually offer students? This slide originally, it was, golly, we had it like up to like 15 slides. We're like, this is way too much information. Let's get down to some bullet points. And I'll do this. You can stay focused. Just kidding, Sarah. I've known Sarah for 20 plus years. We're good friends. So.
Yeah.
We're good friends.
So these are some of the some of the things that we offer. You can see we have over 25,000 students enrolled in CTE classes. 98.7% of students that have their pathway completers. That's the graduation rate for those students that are pathway completers. 98.7%. I know 2 years ago the graduation rate was 91.4%. So we believe that CTE is a hook for students to stay in school. It gives them purpose. We have over 2,200 pathway completers, 5,900 students in concurrent enrollment classes that are CTE classes. We obtained over 1,600 industry credentials, from welding to foods to MOS testing, Microsoft Office testing, a lot of different credentials, again, that the students can use on resumes to help them get jobs. We have over 338 CTE employees, 329 classes offered in CTE. And I can click on these if you guys want to dive into that a little bit more, but if not, I'm just going to keep on going over. We currently offer over 30 of our 32 CTE pathways. Let me just click on this just for a second, kind of give you guys an idea. We broke it down by district. These are all the pathways at each district. And you can kind of see where they land. And I'll jump into what pathways mean here in a little bit. Go back. We also offer summer ag, house builds, job shadows, internships, farm field days, ninth grade tours, and the list goes on and on and on. And but again, we thought, okay, so what are the essentials? What do we really need to talk about today? And as we went around, we visited with people across the whole entire state, with people at the state office, directors, teachers, students. We said, okay, of all these things that we offer, these are the essentials for CTE moving forward. And we said, okay, you need a support structure. And I'll dive into these individually here in a second. You need professional development and financial support for teachers. You need academic and financial support for students in CTE classes. And you also need to create and maintain our industry relationships. And so, first off, we'll jump into our support structure.
Question right
Please.
there. May not be one of the 4 essentials, but what about partnering with Mountain Line Tech or other, does that kind of fit
That is our
within-
industry relationships.
Okay, perfect.
Yep, and I'll hit that on one
Thank
of our
you.
slides. No, thank you. And again, please ask questions. So starting off first with our structure. This is the way our current structure is in Alpine School District. I really like spreadsheets, I like flow charts, but I thought, you know, I'm talking about people. And so I thought, let's break it down by people, what this actually looks like on the ground level. So this is our admin team here at the district. Like I said, Mikkel and Jess are my assistants. We also have Nicole, she's our finance specialist. And we also have Jessica Madsen, and she is our front office secretary. I'm not going to, well, I'll just click on this. These are some of our responsibilities in CTE. I'm not going to bore you with everything. We have it broken down by areas that we oversee. You can see, you know, what we all do. And again, each one of those bullets are presentations of themselves. I'm not going to bore you with that. And then also, right here, this is just a list from the state of meetings, trainings, data reports, grants we have to apply for. All of these, this is directly from the state meetings that we attend and oversee. And that is all ran by the CTE directors. So that's our admin staff. We also have in our office content specialists. I graduated from BYU in Tech Ed. As you can see, with over 329 different classes that we can offer in CTE, there is no way that a CTE director can stay on top of business, health science, ag, computer science, family consumer science, tech, engineering, and skills and trade. So these teachers, they teach part-time, and they're with us part-time. Some are with us for 4 periods, others are only with us for 1 period. And so it kind of depends, but these are crucial to the leadership structure. And it's, yeah. So again, if you have any questions, please ask. We also have pathway specialists and work-based learning coordinators. Our work-based learning coordinators, they are out in the community every day building relationships with hundreds of local businesses, arrange internships, job shadows, career fairs. That's what they oversee. These are all 29-hour employees too. And then we also have pathway specialists. They help with identifying pathway completers. They work directly at the school with students, meeting with them with one-on-one, figuring out pathways, supporting CTE, advertising CTE, scholarships, all of those things, and that flows through our pathway specialists. And again, they are crucial to this work. So with all those people that we've just talked about, it's roughly 50 plus people, that's 5.7% of our budget that we actually spend on administrative support. That's pretty good, I think, compared to some other districts. We have over 308 teachers. It's a picture of all of our teachers there. And then of that, 73.5% of our budget actually pays for our teachers, whether they're full-time, part-time, hourly, we pay for those teachers. And sometimes we might have like a math teacher teaching an accounting class, like we'll pay for that one period of accounting. So it's not just like, oh, you're a CTE teacher. It's like, no, we have the whole gambit. Math, English, science. They teach a CTE class. We fund those teachers. And that's, again, a big portion of our budget. And because of that, we have these teachers that are like, you know, that some of them might come to us directly from industry. Some of them might only be a 1 hour teacher, and so they don't have the credentials. So professional development is crucial for our teachers. 2.2% is spent on professional development. And I mean, software changes all the time. We have to keep updated on that. We also support summer collaboration grants. We also support new courses. Like right now at Pleasant Grove High School, we started a brand new course in AI. We're piloting that for the state. We're also moving drones out. That's in most of the pathways right now, drones. We work with Utah State, getting our teachers licensed with their, the Part 107 license, so they can actually fly drones. There's a lot of like robotics. We work with MTech and our Mountain Land region, along with UVU, to develop our robotics programs and our curriculum and things like that, and which robots we're going to use and support. So a lot of that is done with our 2.2% of our budgets for PD. And then lastly, 19.3% of our budget goes to support CTE classes. Equipment upgrades, maintenance, and you guys can see the list here. We also support student projects in like woods classes, floral, welding, sewing, drones, robotics. We also we support our computer labs. We maintain those and do all the upgrades on that. And we also help fund CTSOs. And CTSOs is a big part of CTE. It helps with leadership, collaboration, communication, and just helping our students be career-minded. And so that portion of our budget helps pay for that. And then, as Rob was saying earlier, that these relationships are crucial. These are just some of them. We have over 217 internships out in our community. Obviously, we didn't list all of our industry partners, but again, these are crucial with Texas Instrument, IHC, and all the colleges we work alongside with. We have meetings with them, I mean, weekly with different companies and people throughout industry. And these are crucial because, again, we are the bridge to industry. That's one of the main reasons why we get our funding from the state, is because they recognize how crucial CTE is in this realm. So, before I move on, are there any questions?
We have student internships highlighted there. Do you have an estimate as to
Yeah.
how many that?
We had over 600, what was it, 600 and
Over 600, close to 700
internships
In the Alpine School
in
District.
Alpine School District.
Wow.
And this right here, this was just a list of all of our, sorry, scroll over. This was just a list of all of our,
It's a link.
yeah, of all of our internships that we actually offer. But we have maybe it's some students, like 5 students in one company or things like that, so. Good question.
So how do, I mean, the legislator's been trying to cut back on school fees, and one of them that always comes up is Woods, right? When
Yes.
you can't have students pay for projects. Is the normal Woods class different than a CTE Woods class, or do you also worry about school fees?
We do. Some of those beginner classes, like the Woods 1 class, we fund those classes so that every single kid could take that class. It's those upper level classes where they might be building a or like an armoire or something bigger that they would have to then, and whether or not they choose to use cherry wood versus alder, like we would hope that students would pay for that. But again, that shouldn't be a hindrance for students. We do support, we give enough funding so that all students can access our classes. And that shouldn't be a hindrance. That's it, yeah.
Right, I got another question. It says we offer 30 of the 32 pathways. What are the 2 pathways that we don't offer?
I can answer that.
Oh, thank you.
It's agricultural production systems and natural
Natural
resource science.
Yes.
I looked.
Julie, would you like to present this for me, please?
Can I ask, I do want to ask a question though.
Please.
I noticed when you broke down each of them into individual districts as to which pathways they have, there's obviously going to be a little bit of carryover. Like I'm going to assume, like for example, when the construction program,
Yes.
like they have interior design too, help like stage the home and everything and do the selection of everything. But from my understanding, if I remember correctly, interior design is taught by like a teacher at Lone Peak.
Lone Peak, yes.
So basically, it's showing that all of us can access right now architectural and interior design, but when the split happens, it may be that like, right, we don't have access to that teacher. So to dig into that in more detail, is that why I'm clicking on like the West, like each of our individual pathways to say which ones do we own versus
Exactly.
which ones are we like doing across the board? Because the
Exact-
same thing with the construction management, right? Like that there's essentially one person who's doing it, but we have students from all over the district participating.
The support, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly. No, thanks for that clarification.
I also want to know, and you may not know this, but Jason may know this, when we talk about fees, like for woodworking, how many fee waivers do we have in CTE that we're covering the cost, the district is absorbing that cost for fee waivers? Is that just like something you have off the top of your head?
No, it's not. Yeah, I mean, it's,
I mean,
each high school is different on the proportion of students that qualify for that, but, and they're able to take any class that they want if they have the fee waivers.
yeah, I didn't mean to put you on the spot. I was just curious if we knew how many, because I know you have to pay for
I
that. But
know
if
we've
they're fee
seen the
waivers,
breakdown.
it looks a little different.
It looks different.
But not
Yeah.
just CTE.
Yeah, it would.
So,
Not just CTE. But we're, yeah, and we've been working on, there's a new law that has to have a fee-free path to graduation, which CTE classes are required for graduation, so there'd be some of those that would be available at no fee to be able to fulfill that requirement.
We were looking at those pathways, and we started down that road. More than half of our pathways could be free. Yeah.
So your term pathways is different from
Yes.
that pathway.
Yeah.
Then there's the LDS church pathway.
Yes.
So I'm just.
We throw out pathways, it means a lot of things. And I'll jump into pathways here in a little bit. I'll go into a little bit more detail, and it's
Okay.
going to be in your packet.
I'm
here
just
in a
saying
second.
it's a term that gets
We
tossed
use it
around.
loosely, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
But there are a lot of CTE classes that are offered that don't charge fees.
Yeah.
It could be a non.
Could be part of that, yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Brian, can I also ask a clarification? Like, I know that some of the CTE classes also qualify for concurrent enrollment. So is that one kind of a little bit like when you're taking a CTE class that's concurrent enrollment, essentially you're kind of double dipping. And I'm not saying that like in a negative way, I'm saying that a student's having access to a college level class at $5 a credit, while also like there's a level of support we're getting from the state for offering that. And so there's kind of like a double level of support when it comes to kids accessing college credit for a minimal amount of money while also having support from the state because then they're industry ready.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. Yep. Okay. We good? Love the questions. Thank you. So these were some of the things as we went around and visited with all of these districts across the state. We asked, what was the size of your student enrollment, number of classes in CTE programs, number of CTE classes, number of programs you offer, your pathways. Is it like leadership structure? Is it more heavy at the district level or the school level? Is it more site-based, like with hiring, your FTE structure? And our findings we're all different. And we're not saying what's right versus wrong, we're saying what's right versus right. And it depends on the culture, it depends on your communities, and that's a big thing. Because what it might look like down in Price, like I said, I can't remember if I said this before, I've been repeating myself. What might it look like down in Price will look different than up here on Silicon Slopes with Adobe and Meta and IHC and Texas Instruments. That just looks different, and those relationships are different, and so there has to be some nuance there, and again, that those relationships are crucial in CTE. But before we jump into like what it could look like, we thought, okay, let's talk about funding, because that's a big driver for CTE. And as much as we would like to talk about money, our total net budget for CTE is roughly $30 million. And that's where it's generated from. We get add-on money, we get MOE, maintenance of effort, and we also get 0.7% of our budget is from work-based learning, and 2.2% of our budget is from Perkins. That's federal money, and so that's how much money we generate currently. Then we broke it down by, okay, so what are the areas that we actually generate this money from? As you can see here, in Timpanogos District, it's 30.5% of our revenue is generated in Timpanogos. Aspen Peaks is 42%, and Lake Mountain is 27.5%. There's a lot of different reasons for that. A big reason is obviously because Aspen Peaks, they have 4 high schools, and they also have Polaris in that area, and so that money's generated in this area. And with out at Lake Mountain where you only have 2 high schools, and down south, depends on student enrollment and things like that. So that's how the money's generated.
So is it generated by student number or by high school number?
Student number with high school. Like they're kind of correlated.
Sure, the next slide, I think that one.
So it's average daily membership. So every single time a student is in one of our 329 CTE classes, we generate, it's called ADM, average daily membership, and teachers take attendance. And ours isn't like, and correct me if I'm wrong on this, Jason, but MOE, is that based off of October counts?
The MOE?
Yes.
Or not sure what you're asking about.
Like,
The maintenance of effort versus.
yeah,
On the counts?
on those counts. Ours is based off of every single day a student coming to class. And so every single time a student comes to class, we do a big old data download like every quarter with the state, and that generates money. And as you can see here, all of our students, they have to take 3 credits of CTE, 1 credit of CCA in either 7th or 8th grade. They take a half credit of digital literacy either in 7th or 8th grade. And then you have to have 1 credit of elective CTE, and then 0.5 of digital studies. And these two, the 1.5 credits, that's what generates money, the add-on money for CTE. And add-on money is that the state recognizes it costs money to run these programs. And so they give us add-on money for that. That's the simplest way to explain add-on and ADN.
I'm just going to make sure I'm clear
Please.
on this. The average daily membership overall, or
Yes.
in your classes?
In CTE classes.
In CTE classes.
Okay.
CTE classes.
And it would
Make
be
sure.
membership, not attendance, so
Yes.
that
Okay.
they're enrolled in those classes.
Yes, they're enrolled in those classes.
Okay.
So, and again, this was our add-on funding. So out of right now, so this last year, out of the 90,000 students in Alpine School District, we had 3,892 blah, blah, blah students that take CTE, and then we divided that out by the districts, and that's how we generate that money. That's our add-on funding.
So you get a base amount
Mm-hmm.
based on
It's always off of ADM, average daily membership.
also on
Yep,
ADM,
yep.
and then your add-on is
Is
also
based off of
based on
ADM. Yep.
Okay.
Yep. And I'll explain a little bit more about the add-on. This goes into your packet a little bit. If you were to go to to have a comprehensive high school, let me explain this a little bit. We generated an additional $1.3 million because of having a comprehensive CTE program. And the best way to explain this is if you go to this page right here, if you offer 3 CTSOs, it generates money. If you have to have 5 clusters, offer 5 clusters in one of these 14 areas. And again, I know this is a lot of information. I don't know how much you want to have me dig into this. Ask questions if you like, or if not, I'll just kind of skim over this. But we have 14 cluster areas. You have to have at least 5 of those. And the cluster areas are these blue classes, or clusters. And you have to offer 15 classes in those in those cluster areas, 5 concentrator courses, 3 pathway completers, and then you also get funding for having a CTE director. And that added an additional 280 WPUs for us, which was equivalent to $1.3 million, which is this. This is the breakdown by districts of what that was actually generated. So that's add-on and having a career pathway.
Brian, go back
Please.
to that slide really quick. So just to one more slide, sorry. So if we're clarifying, oh, sorry. One more slide. Okay. So if we're clarifying, there is more we can do to maximize the add-on funding that we receive in schools, which is why it's crucial that that's not what we offer as a district. That is what we offer at each of the schools. And so it's crucial that the CTE department has a very good relationship with our principals as they're building their master schedules. Because if we build the master schedules the correct way and we offer those things, then we can maximize the state funding. If we're not paying attention to the, and a teacher leaves and we just aren't going to replace that class, then we might actually put ourselves in a place where we're not maximizing the additional funding because we're not offering what we previously were offering or what we should be offering according to the state.
And that's at a school level
At
that
the
those
school
decisions
level.
are being
Yeah.
made?
Yes.
Okay.
Which is why that relationship is crucial with the CTE director who's paying attention to that. And as we have an opening or what, the CTE director talks with the principal and says, hey, you want to make sure that you're doing this so that we are receiving the maximum funding that we can receive from CTE add-on funding.
Yeah. Can I scroll on that just for a
Please.
second? And I apologize if this is too much. But this year we have 308 teachers. The year before we had 338 CTE teachers.
Okay.
When we don't have that say, that's what affects all these things.
So that relationship becomes very important.
Very important.
So do they then compete with other, like, non-core classes? The CTE classes are competing
Yeah.
with,
Every
you know,
elective.
other
We're all
languages,
fighting
like
for the
any
2,500
other-
kids at each school, right? Yeah. Yep, exactly.
So you're kind
Yeah.
of competing with performing arts.
World languages.
Okay.
We're all
I
fighting
don't
for
know if I
those
like the
same
word
kids.
competing, but
Offering.
I would
Yes.
say
Yes.
they're offering that.
these core classes though this is what the bridge, this is like we need those classes in order for CTE to function too. Like we
And it
work-
gives us funding.
Yes.
Sorry to interrupt.
Yes,
but,
like
yeah.
we need to work together.
Yeah. No, 100%.
Yeah.
But the competing is really in the extra electives, because there's certain, in CT you have to take this
Yes.
many, world language you have to take this, or the arts, but then it's all the other electives. A student can take all their other electives in CTE, and it helps program along.
Yeah. And it's interesting though, again, that 98.7% of those pathway completers, if we show that importance of like, don't just drop out and take your 3rd or 4th periods off, like stay here, take these classes. Like let's get you these credentials, let's
Yeah.
get you the concurrent enrollment.
Oh, yeah.
I think we're starting to see those trends going down. And whether it's world language, I know that everyone feels like, everyone wants to have that hook for these kids. And that's why we exist. And this is just another one of those hooks.
Yeah, just
I'm not
to
saying
be
we're
clear,
more
I think
important or
this
less
is
important.
amazing. No,
Yes.
I'm more talking about the FTE piece of it.
Yeah.
Not.
Yeah.
This is amazing.
Sorry, I didn't mean to point back 4 slides.
No, I didn't need to
Keep
even
going,
talk about
keep
those.
going.
I'm rambling. And then this was the breakdown of that extra money we talked about. So our recommendation, moving forward, we would highly recommend that the superintendents hire a CTE director in the spring. There's a lot of things that happen behind the scenes to make all this happen. And I didn't go into all the details of all that, but there's a lot. We'd also asked that they'd have a finance specialist. As you can see that, you know, with over $35 million flowing through CT, it's important to have those people on board. And again, content specialists, work-based learning coordinators, and pathway specialists. It's interesting, every single district that we visit with, they all have these titles. It's just that some might be doing other things.
Okay, that was my question. When you visit, how many hats is one person wearing?
Depends on the district. For instance, like Park City, I know that CT director is also over counseling, that helps oversee counseling. I know like some are over facilities. Again, it depends. Some are over concurrent enrollment. It just depends. And again, I mean, it's, well, yeah.
Depends on the skills of the person.
Exactly.
We're talking about.
Yeah, exactly. So that's our slide deck in a nutshell.
I have a question. So when we're talking about the district split, and we are offering around 330-ish classes,
Mhm.
we're not going to duplicate those classes throughout districts. For example, if I'm an Orem resident and I have a student that is really great with woodworking and he wants to go to the Lehigh program, so are we going to be having students jump district to district, or how is this all going to look if you have a kid that's involved already? He started, you know,
A decent program.
he's wanting to do the
Yeah.
aviation program, but he lives in the Mountain View area. I'm just wondering how this is going to look, because we're not going to duplicate all those services. So how does that look with the split?
Same way it looks today.
That doesn't help me, Rob.
You have one automotive program, you know, at Mountain View High School. It's not duplicated. You have one aviation program at Cedar
Yes,
Valley.
but we're in the same
It's not
district.
But my point is, if a student is going to attend that program, whether we're in Alpine together right now, but let's say it's a Provo School District student that wants to come to Mountain View High School. Jess, we have those.
We do.
How many do we have? A handful on
A
occasion,
handful
right?
on occasion,
So,
yep.
so Sarah,
We have done
my point is that has happened.
It can,
And so
it can happen.
it
It
can
can.
happen and it will happen. Because those students, when they find that niche or that opportunity for them to connect with their future, there's a ton of opportunities here. They're gonna find that opportunity that best connects for them and their family to make that work. And if that's offered it in the Timpanogos district or the South district, they're gonna connect with that, wanna enroll in that. If that is out at Cedar Valley because it's the only aviation program, they're gonna wanna connect with that. There are some limitations, but that choice is something inherent in the way Utah has structured its policy relative to parents' choice for the education of their students. There is going to be some choice.
But what you're saying, and I get that, I understand that, it looks similar to how it is now.
Yeah.
But as far as like the 329 classes that are offered through CTE currently,
It'll look different, and there could be fewer. That'd be my guess. I want to also, the reason I asked Ryan the question about, hey, what about Mountain Land? I didn't see it. And he clarified on that partner. That's one of our higher ed partners, our industry partners. We made the choice decades ago as Mountain Land started to build its offerings not to compete. There were programs in Alpine that we chose to discontinue because Mountain Land picked up those, and we wanted to, as a system, we want to be as efficient for the dollars spent, but provide as many choices for our students and the families as possible. That's a win-win situation. So not duplicating all of the equipment and competing, if you will, one entity versus another. You run these programs, we'll run these programs. And I think you've seen that manifest in a lot of the things that we do. I think that will continue to happen. And you look at those three districts. Again, automotive, diesel, at Mountain View and aviation are the two easiest examples. But there are other examples that you have that other districts duplicate, even though they have a technical college that offers the same program.
Yep.
So we've chosen not to do that. We want to maximize that and partner we're much more heavy on the partnership, and I think it's been a good thing
And I
for
think that's
us.
the reason why we're able to do what we do. We
I agree.
fund, it's some give and take there for sure.
I agree.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, for sure. So, yes,
So
please.
when are students first exposed to the CTE pathways?
Seventh grade, C7 class. Well, depending on the school, it should be seventh grade CCA classes or eighth grade.
And where the Timpanogos area is potentially looking at having to move our ninth grade into high school, well, how is that going to impact CTE?
It affects the funding. Right now, we're able to fund ninth grade classes, like we're able to buy equipment, like for a woods class in ninth grade, and we know that the CCA classes, the tech classes, will use it in seventh grade or eighth grade that are not funded. We recognize that, and we currently we are funding CCA classes, even though we're not getting funding from the state. So those are some big decisions. That's another reason why we're saying let's hire a director as they start to see their budgets and see like what can we do, working with their new school boards, working with the new superintendents. To say,
CCA, I don't know what that's.
College Career Awareness. That's our 7th and 8th grade introductory class to CTE. Sorry about that. We throw out all sorts of acronyms, don't we?
So that can potentially make some funding problems.
Yes, it could. But there's also some other things that are out there that are available, grants and things that we could offset those. And how we use Perkins money and things like that. So we just have to rethink the way we're doing it. But I think there's a lot of opportunities.
You know, Ryan, I have a question. If the board's thinking maybe of other questions. Our building program is something that's been really awesome for our students and for our builders in the community that utilize a lot of our students and hire them. And we had one instructor leave, and so I think we're down to one, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
What are some of your thoughts in that particular program as we're supporting 3 districts? I know there are some, we have lots in 2 of those districts. We don't have any in the west. At the Chamber of Commerce luncheon this week, that was something that was brought up.
Yeah.
What is your plan for this for our students? And there were a couple of builders that were attending, and they wanted to know, this is a great thing for our workforce because we see what you're doing, building that capacity, and then we hire those students to help do this work. So what are some thoughts you and Jess and Mikkel have talked about relative to providing supports in the 3 districts for building?
One of the biggest obstacles is finding a teacher that can teach it, because you have to have your general contractor's license. People don't come out of college with their general contractor's license and say, I want to be a teacher. They go into industry. So we're bringing people in from industry to now get their teaching license. It's doable. As you saw though this last year, like I hit up BYU, I hit up UVU, and I went and talked to these students. I'm like, hey, can we recruit some of you guys? They're like, no, I'm going to go to industry. I'm like, okay, maybe next year. So I'm waiting for a downturn in the economy. But in the meantime, though, there's other, like up in other districts we visited, they built tiny homes. And there isn't a huge cost. I mean, right now we're spending just shy of $300,000 for lots. It's a chunk of change. Out west, there's a lot of lots out there. I think you can continue to build. Sorry, did I step on something I shouldn't have?
I was like, are you subtweeting me in the middle of this?
Are we doing 2 this year?
Oh, 1.
We're doing
So
1
1,
this year.
yeah.
Where
Yeah,
is
we're
that?
building it in PG, right behind PG Junior High. Yeah. Other districts, they build the satellites for the districts.
Classrooms.
Classrooms. And that's another way to save money. So they work with our tradespeople. We also have internships where we can get, this last year, because we shut down one of the programs, we sent a lot of our kids to MTech. My kid was one of them that did the construction, civil engineering class. There's a lot of ways to still, and not only that, like when you go to MTech and take that class, they guarantee you a job. WW Clyde, Geneva Rock, or Sunpro. They came and met with those students and said, hey, once you're done, we'll hire you. You'll be making $25 an hour. So there isn't just one way of saying you got to build a house in order to learn these skills. There's a myriad of ways, and depending on each district, they'll just have to look at it. We were even looking at buying older homes and flipping them. That might work in some districts better than others. So.
And to clarify, Ryan, all 3 districts will still have the same access to MTech because
Yes.
MTech goes under certain counties, and so that's their service area.
Yes.
And so all 3 districts will still have continued access to MTech programs.
Yep. Yep. So, good question. It's been something we've been worried about, thinking about, but it's just not the time for us to make that change. So, any other thoughts or questions? I'm good. Let's go home.
All right.
Hey, thank you. Thank you. Look
Ryan.
forward to meeting with you guys more. And
Thank you for
questions you guys have.
preparing, thank you for the information, thank you for the handouts. Mikkel, Jess, thank you as well to your team. Board members, that's the report we have tonight, so President, back to you.
Okay.
Sorry, is this going to be a joint topic, or is that by request?
Joint learning? It's not currently, so if it's something you'd like to dig deeper,
It would have to
it'd
be-
either be a study session for request from one of the boards, or have your president reach out to Julie and request that as one of our joint learning sessions.
Okay. I'm sorry, Julie.
No, you're good. Okay, so we are adjourned until our meeting at 6. Thanks, everybody.
That class that you were
That was great.
The CCA class?
Yes.
College area?
Our board meeting today, it's January 13th of 2026, and it is 6 p.m. We'll be starting our board meeting. First item on our agenda, we have the Pledge of Allegiance that will be led by Eric Woodhouse. Followed by that, we will have an inspirational thought by Carrie Cooper.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Hello, my name is Carrie Cooper. I'm the principal at Traverse Mountain Elementary. And for an inspirational thought in January, I've been thinking a lot about gratitude. And we're teaching the kids that when you seek to feel grateful, you see more opportunities than obstacles, and your brain just works better. You're better at solving problems. So I've been pondering gratitude, and I want to share with you some of the things I'm so grateful for coming back from winter break and re-entering my school and seeing all those children again that I hadn't seen for 2 weeks, and our teachers and staff. First of all, I need to let you know that I feel like being an elementary principal is the best job in the world. Not everyone would love it, but for my personality and his personality, of course, Julie Van Dyke, it's the best. I can't imagine doing anything I would love more than this. One of the things I love that I'm grateful for is I have, there's Cynthia too. Oh, yeah, I see lots of people. I have this up-close, first-hand opportunity to witness children showing that they're learning not just the academics, but they're learning the soft skills. They come out of my office sometimes because they're crying, they need help, sometimes they're in trouble, and I get to hear them process and use our vocabulary that they got angry, and instead of checking their emotions and asking themselves, wait, what would my best self do? I overreacted, but I won't do it next time. And I get to watch them apologize to each other or make a plan to correct it. I love telling them, you're not in my office because I want to get you in trouble. I'm here to get you out of trouble. Let's work together. I find that a real privilege. I also love being able to witness the compassion and goodness in children. I went into a 4th grade classroom recently to talk to the class about why their classmate hadn't been here for a while because that little girl's father had passed away. And I was so touched by the immediate reaction from that classroom of 10-year-olds. Really humbling to get to work with those little children. I love that I'm part of a system that's continually working to improve, build the capacity, and protect our children, and that I can see them growing academically and socially from our growing and improving data. Nothing quite as exciting as that. You'll hear when my beautiful preschool teacher's honored tonight that I'm grateful that I work with people that when something goes wrong, they just think on their feet and they solve problems. We had a gas leak at our school, very unexpected, of course, in October, and had to evacuate 830 students. And everyone kept such a calm head and were such good examples of, we'll be fine, let's just follow instructions, there's nothing to be afraid of. And Mikkel was a big part of that. So that's very humbling to work with people like that. Today, I got to go to one of the literacy trainings at Valley View Elementary that the district's providing for all of our elementary teacher teams. And it was fantastic. I went with 3rd grade. And the quality of that training that the district's providing, I don't even know how to put a price tag on that or a value. The teacher teams come away with so many materials that are already prepared, already sorted out for them. They're ready to just hit the classroom running and do an excellent job. So thank you for that. And let's see, what was my last one? Oh, my community. Being back now, I've been able to work with PTA and my school community council president this week. And I'm so grateful to work with a community that's involved, wants to partner with us to help us build and protect children. It's just truly an honor. So I love being an elementary principal, and anyone who has power over that, I'd like to stay. Thank you.
Thank you, Carrie. We appreciate that. As the Board of Education, it is important for us to recognize various accomplishments made by students, employees, and patrons from throughout Alpine School District. As we honor the individuals and groups this evening, we acknowledge the families and others who have helped them achieve their goals. Thank you for the support you have offered to those we recognize at this time. We appreciate your attendance here tonight. After all the recognitions are completed, you're welcome to leave if you have other obligations this evening. Alpine School District is thankful for so many teachers and staff members who excel in making a difference for students, parents, colleagues, and others. Tonight, we would like to recognize nominees who have been selected to receive the Alpine School District Rise Award. Remarkable, inspiring, selfless, encouraging. Board Member Peterson.
All right, we would like to invite Stacy Fry to come up, please. She was nominated, she's a teacher at Aspen Elementary, and she was nominated by Allison Farrell, who's a parent. And we invite Stacy, Allison, and Principal Julie Van Dyke to come forward. Allison wrote, "My daughter has selective mutism, which makes it difficult for her to speak to others outside of immediate family. Having her in all-day kindergarten made us worried if she would talk to anyone or feel safe and comfortable. Mrs. Fry has really worked with us to understand selective mutism and how she can help our daughter feel comfortable and succeed. She is now talking to other kids and teachers. She even recited a poem in front of the class, which we never thought she would be able to do. This is all due to Mrs. Fry being remarkable, encouraging, and loving towards our daughter."
Okay, I'd like to invite Mikkel Ellen and Principal Cooper up. Mikkel was nominated by Janessa Clark, a parent. Is Janessa here? All right. Janessa wrote, "Traverse Mountain Elementary had an evacuation due to a gas leak. As the teacher of the preschool group, Miss McKell did an excellent job soothing students' fears and anxieties. The students were unable to take their backpacks with them, which caused many, and my child, distress. After school hours, Miss McKell hand-delivered each backpack to the students' homes with a treat, just so my little 3-year-old and others could rest easy. She has her own family to get home to, but she was exceptional in managing the little preschoolers' emotions and went above and beyond in taking care of them following the event."
Our next nominee tonight is Carolyn Carter. We'll have her come up. She's with Springside Elementary, and she was nominated by Rachel Lindsay. And so we invite Carolyn, Rachel, and Principal John LeBear up at this time. Rachel wrote, "Ms. Carter takes time to individually celebrate each child and build up their confidence. She sends notes of gratitude to children for their contributions to class, and she sends little notes of praise celebrating the efforts and wins in class. A few of my children have had Ms. Carter as a teacher, and it has been pivotal in their confidence and success. I wish more teachers had the passion and care for their students that Ms. Carter has. Bravo."
Okay, I would like to invite up Alex Stevenson, who is one of our great bus drivers from East Transportation, and he was nominated by Kendra Stewart. And Kendra, if you're up here as well, we've got Rex up here. Thank you, Rex, for being here. Kendra wrote this: "Alex is a bus driver for special education who is far more than a bus driver. He always gives 110% and plays a vital and compassionate role in the daily lives of our students. He treats everyone with the utmost respect and kindness. His patience, warmth, and optimism set such a positive tone for the students' day, especially when that can be a struggle for many. Alex always goes above and beyond to ensure the comfort, safety, and well-being of our students and to make them feel recognized every day." Thank you, Alex.
Skyridge High School teacher John Brown has been selected as the 2025 Theater Educator of the Year, an honor awarded by the UHSAA Distinguished Service Award Committee. Since joining Skyridge in 2016, Mr. Brown has directed more than 50 productions, inspiring students and elevating theater education across the school community. Congratulations, Mr. Brown, on this well-deserved recognition.
We are grateful for our partnership with Synergistic and for the strides we are making together in energy efficiency and environmental stewardship across the communities that we serve. We are pleased to welcome the Synergistic team. We have Carrie DeBose, Aaron Emmons, Lynn Pace, and Art Dominguez from Synergistic. Carrie will be making a brief presentation and recognizing the schools that have received the 2025 Energy Star Award. Carrie, thank you so much for being here.
Sure. All right. Thank you very much. Good evening, board members and district leaders. We're here to celebrate Alpine School District's Energy Conservation Partnership that began in 2018, a partnership sustained by your wisdom and foresight for over 7 years. These achievements wouldn't be possible without your leadership and the daily commitment of operations and facilities, staff, teachers, and custodians, turning vision into measurable impact. A special thank you to Eric Woodhouse, Frank Pulley, and the HVAC team. Their support and collaboration are especially impactful. We would also like to recognize, next slide, sorry, you got it? Okay. We would also like to recognize your 3 energy specialists, Jim, Stacy, and Kenyon. They do an amazing job here. In the last 12 months, they've conducted over 4,500 on-site audits, 87 per week, pinpointing opportunities and optimizing performance district-wide. Despite their rising utility rates, electricity has gone up 26.7%, natural gas up 8.9%, and water and sewer up over 52%. Your performance and savings have offset significant costs to keep resources focused on students. Alpine's current energy use intensity, which is energy use per square foot, stands at 44, reflecting a 21.6% reduction in energy use since the program began. A clear, quantifiable sign of sustained improvement. The energy you didn't use from electricity and natural gas would be enough to run every building in the district for the next 1.82 years. Environmentally, these reductions are substantial, equivalent to over 1.5 million tree seedlings grown for 10 years and nearly 103 million pounds of coal not burned, demonstrating Alpine's real contribution to cleaner air and climate stewardship. And now I would like to turn the time over to Carrie DeBose to speak about a special achievement for Alpine in your schools.
Good evening. Energy Star is a program that's run by the EPA and the U.S. Department of Energy, and it promotes superior energy efficiency. So just for your background, for buildings to be Energy Star certified, they have to be performing in the top 25% nationwide, and they also have to be meeting a strict set of ventilation guidelines that are set forth by the EPA. Typically, buildings that are Energy Star certified use 35% less energy, and they create 35% fewer greenhouse gas emissions, and they're less expensive to operate. So due to all the hard work and the efforts of the energy specialists, the leadership, the teachers, the staff, the students, the facilities and maintenance and operations teams, Alpine, we are proud to say, has 72 schools that are getting recognized with Energy Star certification. So the schools that are listed on the slide will be receiving a decal that goes on the front door of each building so that when visitors come through that front door, they see that that building is performing a superior job with energy efficiency, and they are committed to sustainability. So thank you for your hard work and your dedication. We'd like to take a picture with the board with you all with the plaque.
Can we get a picture? Can we get Frank and Eric in the picture, please? Zach.
Next up on our agenda, we have community comments. We now have up to 30 minutes set aside for public comment. This opportunity is allocated for patrons living within the Alpine School District boundary. A sign-up sheet was available prior to this meeting, allowing up to 10 patrons the opportunity to speak. Those living outside of ASD and those who were unable to sign up before all slots were full can submit written comments at alpineschools.org/schoolboard. Scanning the QR code in the lobby will also direct you to the form. As you are called up, please introduce yourself by stating your name. You'll be given up to 3 minutes to speak. While the board does not engage in a discussion during the public comment period, they may arrange for a staff member to communicate with you later. Personnel issues are not appropriate discussion items for an open meeting environment. If you have a personnel concern, please contact a member of administration or put your concerns in writing and address it to the Board of Education. We have 2 public comments tonight. First up, we have Victoria Bohorovich, and she will be followed by Becca Jane Waite. So, is that right? Sorry. Okay, Victoria, we'd love to have you join us.
All right. Try and keep my nerves at bay here. Good evening, members of the school board. My name is Victoria Bohorovich. I'm a citizen here in Pleasant Grove City. I'm going to get a little emotional on this because our community is really struggling right now and we really need the help of the school board. And I want to start with the hard truth that kids in our neighborhoods are getting hit in crosswalks by cars going to school. And they're doing exactly what we have taught them to do. They're walking to school, they're following the rules, they're trusting the adults who designed our streets and manage the streets, but those things are failing them right now. I personally know in the past 8 months in Pleasant Grove, nearby, within about 2 miles of my own home, I know of 1 death, 2 traumatic brain injuries, and 4 other kids hit in the past 8 months alone in our community. Unfortunately, 2 of those were just this very last Wednesday, 24 hours within school going back into session. These are not rare, unavoidable accidents either. They're predictable, they're preventable, they're crashes that appear in places where we know kids are going to be present, our school zones, our crosswalks, and our pickup areas. And while the cities technically control the roads, the schools are not powerless in this conversation, and we need you. The school boards have a moral authority and influence and responsibility to advocate for the safety of the students entrusted to them. When a child is hit in a crosswalk, it's not just a city issue, it is a school safety issue. We have school crossings where drivers are traveling too fast, our crosswalks are faded or poorly marked, we have no crosswalk signs altogether in some schools, our sight lines are blocked by parked cars, there are trees in the way, there are no flashing beacons or active warnings, and kids are expected to cross multiple lanes of traffic with nothing but some paint on the road to keep them safe. The school board, I don't know a timer on my time if someone's, okay. I'll try and skip forward. And this is where the school board matters. You approve our school sites, you oversee our student safety policies, you speak collectively for thousands of families, your voice carries weight to our city leaders. And I'm asking you to use that voice. I'm asking you to help ask cities to formally evaluate our school zones. Ask them to treat school crossings as high-risk locations by default. They're children crossing the street. Ask them to implement proven safety measures now, not later, after children are hit. Ask them to also report back publicly on what they're doing to protect these students. Did you know that under MUTCD law, is that our 3-minute, I'll already finish, our road laws that cities are legally expected to do an engineering safety review after any child is struck in a school zone. These are not happening. Did you know schools also expected to update their school safe routes and their school plans so that they can be coordinating with the city to make that area safer? Again, these aren't happening. These kids keep getting hit over and over again. Safety should not depend on whether a parent is persistent enough or a tragedy has already occurred, which they are. Every child deserves the same level of protection, regardless of their zip code or the street they're walking on to go to school. Vision Zero, which is a national program, teaches us that traffic deaths are not inevitable. They are a result of choices, design choices, policy choices, and priority choices. And I'm asking you today to choose differently, that we choose one of prevention, because we've had too much happen already this year. And that we can choose to act before another family is forever changed. Thank you for your time. Appreciate it.
Victoria, I am going to ask Eric Woodhouse if he'll meet you in the lobby to follow up with you, and then I'll make sure we share the QR code. Okay, thank you. And next up, we have Becca Jane Waite.
Thank you so much. I'd like to echo the safety. I think that's so important. My name is Becca Jane Waite, and I live in Lehigh, Utah. I'm a librarian at North Point Elementary, but I'm also a board member of the educational support staff. I'm sorry. Oh, I can do that. Okay. Sorry, I'll start over. My name is Becca Jane Waite. I live in Lehigh, Utah. I'm a librarian at North Point Elementary, but I'm also a board member of the educational support staff for ASD. I wanted to make a public comment about Danette Chug, the kitchen manager at North Point Elementary. Recently, we had a few new students move into our school, and Danette knew their names when they came for lunch. And we know when students move mid-year, it can be a real challenge, and she knew them and welcomed them. It's hard to adjust and to feel welcome and finding your place, and Danette is a great example of how valuable the educational support professionals are in our schools and in our district. She is one of thousands in our district that help our students be successful in their time in our K through 12 schools. Thank you for your time.
Okay, the next item on our agenda is the approval of minutes. Do we have a motion to approve the minutes?
I move that we approve the minutes. I'm sorry. Jinx. Second.
Okay, so it sounds like I have a motion by board member Bateman and a second by board member Wilson. Is that what I got out of that? Okay.
That's correct.
Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? That appears to pass unanimously. Superintendent Smith.
You received the claims for the month, and I would recommend the board accept the claims.
Do we have a motion to accept the claims?
I move that we accept claims.
Second.
Okay, so we have a motion by board member Clement and a second by board member Peterson. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor of approving the claims, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That appears to pass unanimously. Superintendent Smith.
Next item is routine business this month. There's one unique item, but for the public, routine business includes a budget summary, the Alpine Foundation Board summary, personnel hiring and releases, as well as LEA-specific licenses. And this month we have PBIS school grants, and you received that information from my assistant earlier. So given that, routine business items, would recommend you approve the routine business items for the month.
I move that we approve the routine business.
Second the motion.
Okay, so we have a motion by board member Beeson and a second by board member Clement. Any discussion regarding the routine business?
I'd like to point out in our budget summary that our business department has now created accounts for 3 different school districts, and I just noted that as I reviewed that, and I just wanted to mention that that is happening and that those funds are now going to the skeletal districts. Do you have any comment on that, Jason?
Yeah, so we have new funds set up, one for each of the new districts. That's where the $60 per student allocation on January 1st went for budget, and those new districts are able to use those funds. They'll get an additional $60 per student next January for that.
Okay, any other discussion? Okay, seeing none, we have a motion by Board Member Beeson and a second by Board Member Clement. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, that appears to pass unanimously. Next up on our agenda, we have an action item regarding a potential elementary boundary adjustment in Lehigh and Saratoga Springs. Superintendent.
Yeah, we'd like to invite our Executive Director of Operations, Eric Woodhouse, and his sidekick, and the amazing Derek Farnes. Appreciate you, Derek, so much. They're going to talk about potential boundary adjustment for Lehigh and Saratoga Springs.
Thank you, Superintendent. We are glad to be here, actually. We are getting very good at these. We've done quite a few, but we can always get better. And so sometimes what the public doesn't see is all the work in the background that goes into the consideration on whether we bring this to the board for an actual study. So sometimes they might say, well, why didn't they even consider our school? Just because we haven't done a formal boundary study doesn't mean that we aren't watching every one of our schools to look at that enrollment. And then once it gets to a certain point and we recognize that we need to take action, we also look at the timing of that boundary study too. And sometimes we know that we've got to do something, but it's just not the right timing. This is one of those that we've been watching for some time, and we recognize that the timing for this boundary study needs to be done now. And the challenge in this boundary study is going to be doing a boundary study that's going to converge over 2 districts, and we want to make sure that that boundary is going to last a lot longer than just a Band-Aid solution. So that's why we've been kind of wrestling with this one for a while, but we feel like the time is right, and I know that Derek is and my team, and I appreciate them and all the hard work that they do behind the sidelines. They really are the backbone of doing these boundary studies. And so Derek, why don't you walk the board through what our timeline is and what we are recommending to do.
Thank you, and I'll be Eric's sidekick any day. Eric's a great man to work with, along with the rest of the team. Through these boundary studies, I think to add as well, it's important to note that the team grows as a boundary committee. The principals are involved, different district departments are involved, physical facilities, transportation, business services, and with enrollment projections, communications, and board members are involved who are over the area, let alone obviously you as a board making the final decision. And we get parents involved as well on the committee, as well as getting feedback throughout the process. And we've left you on this one slide like almost in suspense as we've talked through all the other slides just about, so it won't take long to get through the rest of this. We know that Dry Creek is growing. We hope to hold out, if you will, until the district split because, as you know, Dry Creek, as you can see on the screen, straddles the Aspen Peaks and Lake Mountain district boundary. And so we were hoping as part of, in 2027, some of that would resolve itself. I know easier said than done, but resolve itself and alleviate Dry Creek. We've recognized we need to accelerate that timeline and they need relief for next school year as they're projected to grow from about 1,150 to over 1,200 kids next year. So we are proposing a boundary study that includes Dry Creek Elementary and some of those students that are in that area of Saratoga Springs that would potentially move out of Dry Creek is closest to Springside, and there may be some domino effect, if you will, going to Saratoga Shores, Sage Hills, and Harbor Point. It's kind of interesting looking at the map and saying, well, Derek, why aren't you including other schools that are north of Dry Creek? Well, those are in Aspen Peaks boundary, and the students who would be pulled off with the district split anyway would be in Saratoga Springs, and we want to create a long-term boundary. And working with the boards of both Aspen Peaks and the Lake Mountain School Board, that we can create a boundary that will last long-term. So the timeline is, as Eric mentioned, tonight, that first part, we would begin the formal boundary study. That would begin with a notification process to families, an email and postcard sent out to them. Online feedback would be available immediately from both now as well as once boundary maps are proposed and posted online. We'd have committee meetings with that team we talked about, that boundary committee, and those options being posted online in February. We recognize some people are anxious to see, well, great, you're opening a boundary study. What does that mean? What are the proposals? That'll come in about a month from now. And so as the patrons have patience and recognize the team hasn't created those yet. This is just the beginning of this study. We'll have an open house anticipated to be in February, potentially February 11th, public hearing on February 24th, and the final committee meeting in March with a final decision anticipated at the March 10th board meeting. So we flew through that. We recognize it's just the beginning of the boundary study, but we also recognize that you guys have been through this before as well. But any questions that you have in the process? I appreciate the smiles that you all responded with. Thank you.
I know what you're thinking. This is bananas. Julie has a question. Will you go back to the Dry Creek boundary really quick, Derek? So I noticed there's a little carve out of Lehigh, or is that Sarah? Okay, I'm confused.
Are you talking about the west part?
No, the very north part above the line of where Dry Creek is. Yeah,
North of
that
Pioneer
section.
Crossing.
Is that in the Snow Springs boundary?
That is in the Snow Springs boundary. It is part of Saratoga Springs and part of the Lake Mountain boundary, and so it's a cleanup that would need to happen along with a couple of other cleanups that would occur with boundary lines between districts. So if you would like, I know we just closed a boundary study with Snow Springs included.
No, I'm
we
just
could reopen with Snow Springs.
Okay, first off, let's say I recognize the challenge I have that I am very, very bad at maps. I'm struggling. That little piece outside the Dry Creek boundary on the north side, right? That's technically, that's in Saratoga Springs.
So it's in Saratoga Springs. There are no homes in that area.
Okay.
If you're familiar driving west of 2300 West on Pioneer Crossing, it's where a mink farm used to be. Some of the structures still partially standing on that north side. There are no homes in that area currently.
Okay, that solves that for me. Sorry, I'm trying to color coordinate between the different colors and the dots, and some of us, it takes us a little bit longer to get there. So, okay, thank you. And then, so we're sending out information to families tomorrow, everyone that's basically could potentially be affected, and we're only looking at this at an elementary level at this point. We're not looking at secondary, and if we choose to pursue that, that would be an additional boundary study, correct?
Yes, with a secondary.
Yeah,
boundary
this is just
adjustment.
elementary. We're not
This is
looking at the
just-
secondary system at all at this
Correct.
point.
This is just elementary. We anticipate the secondary boundary adjusting potentially along with the new high school boundary in that same process, recognizing that we're going to have a new high school boundary adjustment in the near future.
So can you define your future?
Well, we recognize, we know, I don't know if Frank's back in the room, he's going to promise us it's opening in 2028. It's on time. And so our anticipation is that a boundary study would occur this fall for the new high school boundary.
So for families who are concerned that like, hey, I have some elementary students, some secondary students, the assumption is that we would potentially resolve both of these this calendar year, as far as if we do, and I'm talking about a calendar year, not a school year calendar. I need to differentiate between you, because if we do one now for elementary and then potentially one in the fall, secondary.
And with the secondary, we recognize some of the nuance of it with the district split. And so when I say conducting the boundary study in the fall, we recognize the new high school would open in 2028. There may be a piece of that where a portion of it changes. As part of that same boundary process, we can still do the same notifications and have the same committee, but some of that boundary could be implemented in 2027, and then the final longer-term boundary in 2028 as the new high school opens.
I'm also guessing that part of the delay in the secondary process is also because of the protections provided in SB 188 for students to attend the secondary school of their original location for up to 6 years. And so part of it is there's not the same time frame attached because of the protections in the bill, correct?
Yes.
Awesome. I love when we think the same.
President King, I have a question.
Yes, Board Member Lincoln.
So I know we have no homes in that Snow Springs boundary. Do we legally still need to include it in the boundary study where it affects no students, but it does affect the boundary?
The short answer to that is eventually yes. Now that eventually is coming quickly because that would be by 2027 it would need to be implemented. We also know we can make that adjustment now with part of this boundary study. We could make that adjustment. I say we very liberally, boards, districts could make that adjustment to be implemented in 2027, along with other potential boundary studies that districts decide to do. Recognizing that with this, there are no homes in that area currently, but at the same time, any boundary study by state statute, we have to notify everyone in the school that a boundary study is occurring. And so trying to balance that of, it's a quote unquote easy cleanup, but at the same time, can we be clear of what that cleanup is when they get a postcard and an email saying, hey, your school is having a boundary adjustment. So that's the balance and the challenge. Is it insurmountable? No, but it's a challenge either way.
So your concern is that we would alarm a community unnecessarily?
Well, yes, we're looking at this this area, I think, with some other nuance that Snow Springs in the area just had a boundary study that was completed. There's also the question of with that boundary, how long-term is that boundary? With discussions I know that are occurring with Cold Spring, and what's the future there? Is there a build in the near future? Is it a longer-term boundary that's going to be stabilized? And so with some of those unknowns, our recommendation is to not include that portion right now, as easy as it seems to clean it up, but to wait and clean it up with potentially some other things, or it may still be we're cleaning it up and we need to notify Snow Springs, and that's the only piece that's changing a year from now, is one possibility.
This was a thing that came up during the campaign season. It's something that's been talked about. I don't think anyone, especially we're talking about families in Loch Lomond and North Shore. I know Loch Lomond in particular has been very active about this. And so I don't think this notification is going to come as a surprise, that this is being discussed and something that we want to resolve in collaboration with the families in this community. So
I do think it might be catching some of the southern schools off guard that they're being in the boundary study. So I think North Creek was expecting it, but some of the others, it may be a surprise too.
Dry Creek, yes, I think was anticipating it. I think for those who live in the Springside boundaries, I'm not sure what the level of awareness is. I'm going to look at John. We're going to communicate that, like, John, is it something that you're good? Okay, he gave me a thumbs up, so we're fine. I don't know. Like, I actually was going through some docs over the holiday break, because there's nothing better that says a Christmas season like going through documents from 6 years ago. But I came across a boundary study we did, I believe, in 2021 that targeted Saratoga Shores, Sage Hills, Harbor Point, Springside, because, right, we were doing this thing of Sage was too big and we were kind of divvying out. Essentially what we're looking at is kind of shifting everybody potentially south because of how large Spring Creek or Dry Creek is, but then Springside at the same time is not exactly under-enrolled, but we do have some smaller numbers, a little bit lower in Saratoga Shores and Harbor Point. So we're looking at, you know, as we talk about things like stretching tax dollars and being careful stewards, we're trying to see if we can find a balance that serves everyone longer term. At the same time, anybody who lives in Saratoga Springs or Eagle Mountain is aware of our growth. All you have to do is hang it on Redwood any time of day. Boundary changes are going to be a long-term thing for our community. And I don't think anybody is excited about boundary changes because everyone loves their school, which is the greatest problem in the world to have, is that nobody wants to move because their school is the best. Also, we have a reality of what's happening in the area, and we need to take care of our students and take care of our teachers. And so I appreciate that staff is being focused and intentional about this to make sure that we can try and reach a longer term solution, knowing that with growth there is an inevitability to this.
And I appreciated what you commented. Nobody wants to leave their school because their school is the best. But that means that nobody wants to leave their schools, because all of our schools are very exceptional. So we do feel confident that even though we are being a little bit more aggressive with boundary studies, it's imperative for us to be able to save taxpayer dollars. I mean, every one of these schools that we build is a $40 million decision right now. And so if we can offset that by being a little bit more aggressive with boundaries, making sure that we're getting better at that back end of, once we make these decisions, can we help these students transition better, and can we make that a little bit better of a solution for these students in a process, then I think that it makes it a little bit better for those kids to transition. So if we can continue to improve in how we do that, then I do think that it's in our best interest as a district to continue to look at these boundaries to make sure that we're making appropriate adjustments. So with this one, I feel confident in our approach, and I would like to recommend that we proceed.
Okay, do we have a motion regarding the notification for potential elementary boundary adjustment? Do we need to say the schools that are involved?
Yes.
And Lehigh and Saratoga Springs impacting Dry Creek, Springside, Saratoga, oh, okay. Do we have a motion to initiate the notification process to parents as required in Utah State Code? The school board is considering a school boundary change for Dry Creek Elementary, Springside Elementary, Saratoga Shores Elementary, Sage Hills Elementary, and Harbor Point Elementary. Do we have a motion?
I move that we begin notification to initiate a potential elementary boundary adjustment in Lehigh and Saratoga Springs to include the following schools: Dry Creek, Springside, Saratoga Shores, Sage Hills, and Harbor Point.
Do we have a second? Okay, so we have a motion by Board Member Lincoln and a second by Board Member Bateman. Any discussion? I think we had all the discussion prior to this. Seeing none, all in favor of approving the motion, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, that appears to pass unanimously. Grateful for your team and the work that you've done.
Thank you, Eric and Derek. Next up, we have discussion/action items. I'd like to invite Craig Brinkerhoff to come up to the mic, and he's going to review the 5 different policies for board consideration, discussion, and action if you so choose.
Thank you, Superintendent. Our first policy that we wanted to propose to you is an update to Policy 5410. The update was required from HB 333, which made some additions to the anaphylactic shock options, medication options, one being a nasal spray. And so that was the purpose for the main revision of this. There was a couple of things stricken from the policy that we talked about in policy committee today. We felt like we had enough in there that it was still acceptable. There was some concerns about the use of EpiPens in emergency situations. And just to talk to that a little bit, we're happy to take it back and revise it if the board wants us to do so. This policy really reflects closely HB 333. Some of the emergency exceptions are not spelled out in HB 333. That doesn't mean that we can't put them in there. They're just not part of the statute. And so our policy is pretty close to what the statute language is.
In our discussion today, one of the sections we talked about was section 2.4.1. And we received a notification and counsel from our professional nurses that the language that we had struck should not be struck. So we are recommending retaining the language that says in secondary schools, grades 7 through to 12. And instead of we're also adding any exceptions for grades K through 6 must be defined in a health plan. This is regarding non-prescriptive medications that are sent by parents with parent permission. So we were notified that it would be better not to give blanket permission for that to happen in a K-6 setting.
Yeah, and that was in consultation with Kim Lowe, our district nurse. So she recommended that we not strike that section. We have part of the reason it was stricken in the first place is we've had some parents in the past want to send their students with a vitamin, for example, or something that wasn't a prescription, and our school nurses won't administer that. And so that's why we wanted to try and consider opening it. But we also wanted to follow our school nurses' direction, or excuse me, district nurses' direction. And so that's why we've said, well, let's put it back in potentially, and then if we have a health plan in place, then we can accommodate for those vitamins, et cetera.
Is there any discussion from board members about?
So I do have some pieces about this I'd love to bring up. I appreciate that in, wait a second, did this get, wait a second. 3.6, did you guys, sorry, finding it.
On what section?
3.6, sorry, it's on page 85. It took me a second to find it. I appreciate that the language was struck out in 3.6. As a parent of a child who has a life-threatening food allergy, I have really been frustrated with the section of the policy from before I was even on the board. Epinephrine is not a narcotic. I mean, you're not going to sell it. If the idea that a student is in anaphylaxis and another student potentially offers their EpiPen and we potentially have that child violated under drug policy, not even kind of the same. So I'm really grateful that we struck out this piece of the policy and the same in 4.6. I'm a little bit curious as to why we didn't strike it out in 2.6 for asthma. I get that epinephrine is generally 2 doses. It's either a child dose or an adult dose. And I get that asthma medications are not the same, but once again, you're not taking asthma medications. It's not a narcotic. And I'm wondering if that was an oversight, because I get that, access to insulin, access to epinephrine, that's life-saving medication. Students can also die from asthma. And so I'm curious as to why that was not stricken out in 2.6, but it was in 3.6 and 4.6.
It may have been an oversight. We can go back and look at that and make sure that it's consistent. We for sure want to be consistent throughout the policy. But if that's something, and again, we would defer a little bit to Kim Lowe, our district nurse, and see if she has certain reasons maybe why she would want it included or not want it included. But we're happy to take that back and look at it.
Okay. The other request, I know that it talks about how basically the student has to be able, like if you're going to self-administer, you're basically, as a parent, you're saying my child can self-administer. They have the ability to do that. I would prefer that we add something in the policy that says something along the lines that, like, nothing in this policy prevents an individual from assisting a student in accessing emergency treatment for life-saving medication. Whether it's a student having an asthma attack or having a diabetic concern, having anaphylaxis, at some point those students lose the ability to self-administer depending on how extreme that situation becomes. And I would not want the interpretation to be that a employee could not assist that student or could not, another student could not assist that student, especially if they're experienced with the condition. I wouldn't want there to be any kind of thing that, like, oh, your child can self-administer and so then I can't assist with that. I would want to make sure that there's a clarity there about emergency situations.
Okay. And one of the things from HB 333 that I was just looking at is part of the immunity from liability comes from being trained, being a qualified adult, which includes that training. So it doesn't mean that they wouldn't be covered, but they would be covered under something that would be more like the Good Samaritan coverage versus like statutorily covered. So the qualified adult is statutorily covered for assisting, but if you were a Good Samaritan, then there would be different rules. And so that's fine. There's still coverage, right? It's just not real specific and spelled out. And I just wanted to point that out, that that's where the difference would be when we're talking about students that can get the assistance from a qualified adult and a non-qualified adult that, hey, this is an emergency, I'm gonna help them no matter what, right? So there's just a little bit difference in what protections we can promise them, but certainly we should address those and put them in there because we want to protect the student over not.
That was, oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Sorry. This doesn't address Narcan. It does address Narcan? Sorry.
It doesn't specifically call out Narcan, no.
Okay, can you help me understand what section it's in?
Yeah, it has there's a section on opiates, and it's down in the bottom. I think it is.
funny name.
It's subsection, I swear I read it here, so let me find it.
Opiate antagonist at 7.2?
Yeah.
This kind of piggybacks off of my comment that I was going to make about the policy, and I really appreciate that there's training provided for both Narcan and EpiPens and all of those things. I would just like to see it explicitly say, like, if there is a child who is experiencing anaphylaxis, I mean, I don't care if it's a trained dog that gives it to them, I just want them to get it. And my concern is that we've said that our staff can't use needles for our kids, and I don't want for there to be a question if there's an emergency. I want for everybody to know they can take care of what needs to be taken care of, and, you know,
In our
whether it's under
section
Good Samaritan or whatever. Yeah.
7, because we talked about that, Emily, 7.1.1.5, exceptions could be made in life-threatening situations where a staff member may administer an epinephrine auto-injector.
So part of the reason it was taken out where it was is because that section was diabetes. And so with that section and syringes, like certainly we don't want employees that are not trained administering that type of medication because of the measurement and things like that. With an EpiPen, it's different because it's a single dose. So that was one of the reasons we took it out of that section. But we're happy to, again, reinsert it in a more appropriate section as the board wishes.
Thank you. Thank you.
Craig, it's on one of the copies that we have on this, it says 7.1.1.5, but this one does not. And you did add in that at 5:30 today. So I don't know why the other.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Are you looking at the policy one? to eliminate it?
No, I don't see it.
Yeah. My apologies, but that's the one I'm looking at.
Okay.
And so that's why Emily didn't see.
Okay.
So am I assuming that the needle thing also, because Narcan, I get that most people do the nasal spray, but like I know a lot of the libraries offer Narcan with a needle. So are we saying that the way this is written, that if you have the Narcan dose with a needle, you can't administer it?
Again, I can go back and look at that, but if it's not a single dose that's previously measured, like there would be some risk in saying, here, give them this needle and you got to put in this many millimeters of substance.
Sounds like we need to consult with our professionals about that.
I think as long as we can show that it's a single dose and it's prepped, then I wouldn't have that concern.
Oh, sorry, I was probably supposed to, so from what I'm gathering, there was enough feedback that this was just a discussion and we're not anticipating action being taken on this. And so we're good with the discussion. Does anybody have other discussion about policy 5410?
No, thank you for the feedback. I think this has been a good discussion. We did have a pretty robust discussion today. And so if there's anything you didn't think of tonight that later you think of, please email us or email Craig and we can figure that out for next time. We'll be prepared. Thank you.
Next up, we have the combination of policies 4713 and 4721, professional development opportunities.
Yes, these two policies were very short, and so we felt that like they were related enough that we could combine them into a single policy. And so we've done that, and we would propose that you adopt the single policy, which is the combination of those two policies. And then if that is in fact approved by the board, then we would invite you to retire the policy number that we've combined with the other. So retiring the 4713 and combining both of them into 4721. And just real quickly, we added a statement of policy, and then we changed one word from convention to conference. I think typically all the professional development that people go to are called conferences nowadays and not conventions. So we made that small change. Everything else remained the same other than combining of the two policies.
Craig, can you tell me down in rules and regs in 1.2.4, it says, and the approval of cabinet, we don't use that term anymore, correct? Can we substitute?
Yeah,
DLTN?
we're happy to substitute that.
So along that line, Craig, in 1.2, where it talks about administrative and supervisory officers of the district shall be permitted, I'd prefer that we change that to may. I think we have basically kind of suspended national travel with exceptions, and so I think we need to change the language from a shall to a may.
Yes, good catch.
Okay, so just to summarize what I've heard so far, we're asking for the shall to go to a may in 1.2, and then in 1.2.2 and 1.2.4, there are references to cabinet. Are we changing that to district leadership team and advisory, or just district leadership team? District leadership team. So do we have a motion?
Yeah.
Do we have a motion to combine policies 4713 and 4721?
I'd like to move that the board approve the consolidation of policies 4721 and 4713 into a single policy designated as policy 4721 as presented with the changes that were mentioned previously.
Okay, so we have a motion by Board Member Wilson. Do we have a second?
Wait, did you
And-
say and to retire policy?
And that policy 4713 be retired. Thank you.
Okay, so we have a policy by Board Member Wilson. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
And a second by Board Member Beeson. Any discussion? Okay, so we have a motion by Board Member Wilson and a second by Board Member Beeson to retire 4713, pass 4721 with the edits and amendments that were previously referenced in the discussion.
Correct.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Seeing none, it looks like that passes unanimously.
Did you get those changes?
Yes, they're on the record, and we'll go back and listen to the record.
Okay, we're good.
The next one that we have for your consideration is the combination of 4732 and 4720 with the retirement of 4732 if the consolidation is approved. Again, this is two policies that were related and that we felt like would be better combined than single sentence policies or single paragraph policies. The only changes that we made is we took 1.1 and made that the statement of policy, and then we removed the language that talks about certificated administrator salary and classified administrator salary, and just left it with what we now use, which is just a single administrator salary schedule. That was the only change.
Can you go back up to the top of that, please? With the statement of policy. We did, just for your information, did you say this part? Because I didn't hear you say this part that we crossed, that we're going to, okay. But just so they're aware, we're taking out the.
Yeah, so we talked in policy committee about removing one section in statement of policy which is where it says that school district administrators represent the Board of Education. So we're going to strike that they represent the Board of Education and just leave it that Alpine School District administrators carry leadership responsibilities. So if you agree with that, then we would encourage you to make that part of the motion to approve.
I move that the board approve the consolidation of policies 4720 and 4732 into a single policy designated as policy 4720 as presented, and removing the language represent the Board of Education from the statement of policy. And I also move that the board retire policy 4732.
So we have a motion by Board Member Beeson. Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, so I love that I get to repeat this policy back. It's my favorite. I didn't get the cheat sheet. So what I heard in the motion by Board Member Beeson and second by Board Member Wilson is that we are retiring or consolidating policy 4720 and 4732. We're combining those into policy 4720 as presented and removing the language represent the Board of Education and from the statement of policy. And that we're retiring policy 4732. Did I get that? Okay. All in favor of what I just said, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, that appears to pass unanimously. Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, so I guess we just kind of did 4 and 5 in the midst of all of that. That was fun. Okay, so next up we have a membership report. Superintendent Smith?
Yeah, just a couple of things to highlight from the membership report this month. Thanks to Business Services for putting that together for us. The total number of students, K-12, is down 140 from October 1. And that breaks out at the elementary level, down 88. Just wanted to note 2 of the schools. Parkside Elementary is down 14, and Forbes Elementary is up 15. And so just was kind of interesting, those 2 schools with those significant changes since the last report. Junior high is about even and since October 1, and then high school, which is typical, high school's down 79. But if you look at the numbers a little bit closer, American Fork High School is down 54, with some movement in the other schools up and down. So also just wanted to note what we see at the high school. You'll see numbers decrease, and you'll look at our special schools and you'll see numbers increase. And so again, just to note, Summit High School, one of our special schools, is up 35 students. And so as some of our high school students go down, Summit often or Polaris will increase. And so those are normal patterns at this point. And that's just a few points from the membership report.
And Superintendent, legislation, potentially new legislation impacting, this could be pretty open-ended.
This could be open-ended. I would hope that the board would have thoughts on this as you're working very actively on this, board president. And then if Craig wants to talk about legislative items as well, I can highlight a few if needed, but I'll defer to the board to go first, and then I'll fill in the blanks.
SB 97, there is a bill being sponsored by Senator McKay that talks about capping increase in property taxes at 5% annually. I have spoken with Senator McKay and have reached out to several individuals, some of our financial managers, other individuals across other districts about potentially looking at some language. We have some proposed language that we're willing to submit to Senator McKay that would give a carve out that would include things like consumer price index, like we're looking at inflation, and then another piece that would not make it apply for areas that need to increase by 5% to hit the number they need to have in increments to hit the match they get from the legislature. So a couple of pieces we're working on with that. I think there's going to be several property tax bills that come forward, and this is just one of those. I know there's potentially one that's also going to look at changing the percentage of property taxes that are waived or abated for a primary residence. Yeah, I think it's going to be a busy session. I know that I've given feedback to Representative Christofferson on his bill regarding construction and some of the pieces that I think can be tweaked. Have provided also feedback to Representative Perucci about right of first refusal and some potential pieces with that, and how the right of first refusal when it comes to us surplusing school sites could be given to charters over municipalities. So I've given some feedback regarding that, and I'm hopeful. So far at this point, the discussions have been really open and really great, and so I'm hopeful that that relationship continues and that we continue to have that relationship not only with our legislators in ASD, but other legislators. I'm appreciative that we had so many of them attend the legislative breakfast we had with all 3 new school boards, and appreciate the attendance that they carved out and made that a priority with the legislative session starting in just a few days.
Thank you, President King. Just a couple others I'd like to highlight. Also, I'd like to say thanks to Craig Brinkerhoff and Naomi for coordinating the Ledge Breakfast. We had more legislators attend the breakfast this year than I remember, if ever, a long, long time. And so thanks to our senators, our representatives, and also our mayors that came. We had quite a few of our mayors come, and thank you to them. 2 other bills I wanted to highlight. Senator Fillmore, SB 65, is basically the same as SB 37 from last session, which was vetoed by Governor Cox. That's back. There's just one little tweak to the bill, and so that's one to watch. And then also Senator Stratton has an education commission bill. His intent with that bill is to decrease the number or vet the education bills so that fewer education bills actually hit the legislature and are passed. That's his intent with that legislation. He spoke to that at the breakfast. So those were 2 I wanted to highlight.
I also just wanted to mention there are multiple attendance and cell phone bills out there, so we'll, as we move through the season, our legislative session, which is a season, watch that coalesce and to see which one's going to come out.
If there's no other, just want to hit Alpine by the numbers. Rich, if you'll click on that link, thanks to Joel Perkins, Dr. Perkins, and Jason Croton for pulling this together. I want to celebrate some things. I've been waiting to talk about this data. It's been embargoed till just recently. And anytime we can talk about some of the great things students are doing, our teachers are facilitating, and parents are supporting, it's exciting to me. So on this first slide, you can see Vision for Learning. We talk about next level readiness. I'm going to highlight some of the things when we talk next level readiness. You're at the junior high level, on track at the 9th grade for high school graduation. There's some other things, AP, concurrent enrollment, but I want to hit on graduation tonight. So next slide. When we talk about graduation, here are the required credits. We have a 24 credit diploma, 28 credit diploma, and the graduation rate for this latest cohort is 92.7%, or nearly 93%. As you heard in the study session, in the CTE discussion, the number that Ryan Neal used from last year was 91.4. So that's a significant increase. So I'm going to talk about why that increase actually happened. In this chart, you see the state of Utah, its graduation rate over the last 5 years, and then you see Alpine's. 92.7 is the highest we've seen in the last 5 years, and it's exciting when you understand that there are some students who simply will not graduate with some of our special education students and so forth. When you break that data down, why did we make some of those gains? In our multi-language students, this is one that's pretty significant, nearly an 8% increase over the last 5 years. 5.6% above the state average when you look at the 2025 data. significant number of students that achieve that in that student group. The second, our special ed. Our special educators, I think they're going to have a ticket right to heaven. I cannot believe the great work, the patience, the long suffering. My heart in our special education, our special schools, they do amazing work and have small gains. But here's one really to celebrate, almost a 4% increase over the last 5 years. So that's really exciting from where we were. Now, if you look at the state of Utah, we have opportunities here to even get better, and we will. Next slide. Here's the thing that's really exciting. If you look at all of our high schools and you look at that far right column, everyone is in the green. Everyone had graduation rates that exceeded the prior year rate. So kudos to our secondary teams, kudos to our special educators, those that work with our multi-language learners, and our leadership team, the training that goes on, and the effort by teachers, the commitment from students, and the support from our parents. Just exciting stuff.
Thank you, Superintendent Smith. We really appreciate that and for providing that information. It's essential for us to share this kind of data with our community and be cognizant of the needs of our students and the strides that our staff are making in those areas. Next up, board member and superintendent reports and information items.
We had a really good USBA conference. It was fun this year to just see the new boards. There were close to 28 of us up there. We had some wonderful classes this year. I think we learned a lot. I happened to sit on the MBC board and basically that's a master board certification for board members. And it's important because kind of like my philosophy with my kids, I wouldn't expect my kids to do something that I wasn't willing to do. Same kind of principle when it comes to professional development. And we have expectations for our teachers to embrace their profession by involving themselves in professional development to be better teachers, better educators, and that's the same with board members. And so that's what the MBC program is all about. And so we had some new members of boards throughout the state that came to that class, and we have some wonderful new changes where it will be easier to access, because right now the website needed professional development, and so it's going to be much easier to access. And so thanks to Mark and his efforts, he was recognized as the USBA board president, and he did a wonderful job. It's been a really good year, and we appreciate all his efforts there at the state level. Thank you, Mark.
So it's about the season when we are getting the mid-year data for our schools, which means it's super exciting to be in those meetings and to see what our teachers are doing. So I wanted to give a shout out to River Rock. As we are going through some of the literacy data, we have teams that have already hit their end of the year goals at mid-year, which is incredibly phenomenal. It's been fun to watch them over the last 5 or 6 years and watch as they've kind of changed their intervention time, how they work with that. And so I just wanted to give a shout out to the teachers, to the aides that support them, to the coaches that help drive that, and to the SECs that put money into intervention. They're just doing really phenomenal work, and it's exciting to see. And then I also wanted to share a few things about Bear Hugs at Christmas. So thank you to Becky White and team. We had students who were able to take our high school students who took elementary student shopping to be able to get things for their families for Christmas. And the thing that I think is most amazing about that is that our bus drivers donate their time, and district personnel and other leaders. Just a fantastic day to help our students. And then also through the United Way, we've been able to do the Caring at Christmas. And so various board members, Alpine board members will take a group of families, like the information, and go ahead and shop for them. And it's really a beautiful, respectful way to do things, to meet with the parents, to be able to hand off the gifts, to be able to celebrate those families. And so I wanted to say thank you to our foundation director, Tyler Bigu, and Karen Madsen, and everybody who makes that possible. So we were able to service almost 1,000 students, which is truly remarkable. So thank you to everybody that was part of that.
Superintendent, anything you need to share? We good? Okay. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
I move that we adjourn.
Second?
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion by Board Member Clement and a second by Board Member Peterson to adjourn the meeting. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Appreciate you. And we close at 7:18, 19.